What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I am so excited for today's video because it's a beautiful day in the garden today. It's only 53 degrees, so for some that might seem like it's freezing cold, but if you're here in Michigan like I am, 53 degrees in the middle of December, that's kind of a gift. And so I figured I'd come outside today to do some garden cleanup. And before we get started with today's video, I just really wanted to let you all know that the garden content is going to continue. A lot of you have been messaging me and asking me, Luke, where are you? Where have you been? Is everything okay? And I really appreciate that. I really do appreciate you guys checking in on me. And yes, everything is totally fine. It's been such an incredibly busy year with the seed launch, the seed store, and things like that, that unfortunately, I can only be in so many places at once. And I've always prioritized the garden. I've always prioritized content, but I do understand that I have an obligation to all of you that have ordered seed and support the seed store, which, thank you. We had an absolutely incredible year this year, and more orders than we've ever had before for our launch day. So needless to say, we are completely inundated. We've hired more people. We're doing all that we can to get those orders out, but obviously I have two able hands, and I feel like sometimes I need to be there as well. So unfortunately, it's kind of set back the content a little bit. But as soon as we're caught up with our orders, as soon as that obligation is done and kind of on autopilot, because we have a lot of people on our team, a lot of people can handle the orders once we're caught up. It's just, I know that a lot of people are getting Christmas gifts. I know a lot of people are kind of wanting to get that garden bug started early, as well as some people that live down south that want to start their gardens right now. And so I do understand that obviously having that obligation is kind of a burden on my shoulders. It's a good burden to have, but I just, I can't always be out in the garden right now. And so I just got home from work and we still had some sunlight, and I thought, it's still warm, still got sunlight, I have to clean up the garden. Sounds like a good video. So I know you guys love coming out in the garden with me, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. It really means so much to me that no matter what I film, I always get the comment, Luke, great video. Luke, I really enjoyed that. Luke, this is just what I needed. So hopefully this is just what you need. So I'm gonna get started here before we lose some sunlight. I gotta clean up the rest of these tomatoes and sunflowers, the peppers. I gotta pull out a few other things. We do actually still have some stuff, as you saw in that beginning montage there, that we do still have some stuff growing. We actually have some absolutely beautiful rosemary. In fact, check it out really quick. Check out this rosemary. Isn't it just absolutely beautiful? I mean, you really can't get any prettier than rosemary. I just love how this stuff looks. Now, this stuff will not survive. Rosemary is not a perennial here in Michigan, so I'm gonna end up actually cutting all this back. I might take one plant indoors. A lot of you have asked me, Luke, can you take rosemary indoors if it's not gonna survive? And you absolutely can. It's just, it comes down to space. Do you have enough lighting and space and stuff? We have that. And it also comes down to, do you really have a need for it in the winter? We don't use a tremendous amount of rosemary. We do it with things like turkey and chicken and stuff like that. And it's fantastic on fish, but we only can eat so much of it. And I've got so much here that by the time I dry this, it's probably going to be more than we need for the off season. It's just such a great herb to grow, and one that I really love. Also, another herb that, speaking of herbs, is doing so well has been our thyme. Now look at this thyme. This is just wow. I mean, when you think about time, the best time, the best time, the best type of time are they're the common English time. And I absolutely love these because the needles, or like the leaves, they're so close to each other, and they get so, they're so plump, if you will. And just look at how beautiful that is. Now the tomatoes did really well for us. This year we had less varieties than we normally grow because we were really growing for food production. With everything that was going on and all the food shortages and just wanting to reduce how often we were at the store and had to go there for things, I wanted to grow as much food as possible. And you know how we normally grow, which is we want to grow as much biodiversity as possible and really get the most out of our garden. And that was really not our objective this year. I will say I'm excited to get back to some traditional style MIgardener gardening with all the biodiversity and fun. And so I think next year you're going to see a lot more of that. But all in all, I was really impressed with this year's garden. We got just shy from our 2 beds of tomatoes. We got just shy of about 300 pounds of tomatoes. I mean, you can't ask for a whole lot more than that. We grew a lot of things like Rutgers and Ace 55 and beefsteak. We only grew, I think, 1 cherry tomato plant. Actually, yeah, 1. It was the Sunrise, the tropical Sunrise tomato. Absolutely loved that tomato. And that was a great one. Really produced well, but we had a lot of production this year, and so I was really impressed. All in all, the tomatoes lasted decently long into the season. We lost our tomatoes, I think we lost our tomatoes like early October, which is a little bit earlier than we normally lose them, but pretty much right on track for when we normally kind of lose our plants to blight or just like an early frost, which we had. We had a really early frost. I mean, it came super early, and that kind of knocked the plants down, didn't kill them, but yeah, it was in September. It was like September 20th when we had our first frost. But the tomatoes were resilient. You know, the tomatoes were resilient, but you can only be so resilient before something takes you out. So the frost kind of knocked them down, slowed them down, and then the cold and the rain just ultimately did them in with late blight. Now, one thing that has always been kind of an awkward thing in the garden has been the vines that grow on the cattle panel trellis. Now obviously you can sit here and pull off little pieces, but it's just it's so time consuming. And this is with something like a melon. You know, melons are not nearly as bad as something like a pole bean. And I heard a really cool trick that I absolutely loved. And now I don't know if this is obviously like okay to be done everywhere, but I heard a lot of people say that they take a blowtorch and they just burn off their dead vines. They let them die right on the cattle panel trellis. They let them turn super brown and crispy, and then they just torch them off. Now again, if you're in some place like California where there's a lot of wildfires, maybe not do this. I don't know. Use your discretion. But for us, I think that'd be a great trick. Because I mean, look, come on. Time is so precious in the garden. I don't have time to sit here and pull all these off. But yeah, so aside from that, I thought that was a really cool trick. But another thing that did so well in our garden this year was our melons. This was the first year ever that we got beautiful, nice full-size melons, and ripe, by the way. Pests did not get to them. And I said earlier in the season when we harvested them that I attributed that mostly to growing them vertically. On the ground, they're susceptible to raccoons, mice, squirrels, which you guys always see running along the fence lines. And it's incredible how many we have here. And so growing them vertically actually really kept the pest action off. I think we only lost 1, and I think it was to a bird. So yeah, unbelievable year for melons this year. We got, I want to say, 8 to 10 cantaloupe off these vines here. And so I couldn't be happier about that. So that's definitely gonna be something that we look forward to for next year. And it was just kind of an interesting year for melons. Normally we have really cold nights, and this year we didn't. And I think that also really attributes to some of the success we had, was because the nights were not cold, they were not really wet, so we didn't get a lot of powdery mildew. The plants just did super, super well. Let me know in the comments box below something that did really well for you and something that didn't do so well for you. And also let me know if you plan on trying to grow that again next year. one of the things that I think is really interesting is that people say often, I get this, I would say almost on a yearly basis, Luke, why are you trying to grow melons? You always have trouble growing melons. And my answer to that is, well, if you never grow melons, you're never going to successfully grow melons. I mean, think about it. If you never try to grow them, you automatically are not going to have success growing them. And so I just try every single year. And what I found is that obviously making some adaptations, learning from your mistakes and learning from your observations does help, but also a little luck and a little just seasonal twist that might be different from last year can be all the difference that needs to be made for you to have success. But if you discount it in the beginning of the year when you're starting seeds and say, I'm not even gonna try, well, then you've already lost. So I think it was Wayne Gretzky say, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. And lastly, were the peppers. Now the peppers did so well this year. We had a couple kind of interesting developments with our peppers that was kind of odd, and that was that they didn't all do really well though. Now see, normally in the garden, we'll have a year that we kind of call like the year of the pepper or the year of the tomato, which like no matter what you plant, it just does really well. But this year was super strange in that all of our bell peppers, we only got maybe 2 to 4 fruits per plant, which, I mean, you're getting something, I can't complain. But compared to things like the jalapenos or the pepperoncinis or the pasilla bajillos, the holy moly peppers, the corno de toros, all of our other peppers did just unbelievably well, except for the bell peppers. They just did not do well this year. And overall garden, a lot of you have asked, Luke, how's your garden done overall? What would you rate it on a scale from 1 to 10? And I would say, if I had to rate this year's garden, and being honest, I would have to probably rate it, I'd rate it about a 7.5 out of 10. Not perfect, but definitely some room for improvement. One of the things that I would improve next year is some weed control. In the walkways in particular, because of everything that was going on, we usually put down a fresh layer of mulch. And in the walkways, the raised beds didn't have any weed problems at all because we grow high intensity and we keep them very weed free because of that. But in the walkways, we were really plagued, and a lot of you saw that and pointed it out, that we had a ton of weed pressure in our walkways. And that's because you could not get mulch anywhere. It was either completely sold out or the companies that would drop it off for free weren't doing it because of everything that was going on. Another thing that I wish I would have done a little bit differently was I wish I would have done a few more crop rotations. There was definitely, and I'll be honest here, there was definitely some times where I just left a bed open that I could have definitely been growing something there. With everything going on, I think my focus was just kind of, at times, depending on, again, everything that was going on, my focus was just kind of in other areas, and I didn't have as much time to really plan out the garden as methodically as I normally would. And so I think that definitely attributed to just some breaks in the gardening where I could have definitely been growing some crops and really getting the most out of the garden space. So that's something that I'd like to do better next year. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this episode. It's getting late. I'm gonna finish up here. I only got about 8 more pepper plants to pull out, so I'm gonna get these pulled out. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. And oh, really quick, let me know. I would love to read some things that you would like to improve for next year as well. I know it's not fun to admit that you didn't do everything perfectly, but we're not perfect human beings, are we? I don't think anyone is. And I think that's the best way to learn from your garden and move on to next year and get excited about next year. Is I get so excited for next year to really just fix the things that I wasn't super happy with. And it just always makes me improve. I always feel better about it. And I always get so excited about gardening when I look at just the improvements that I can make and what it's gonna look like next year. So let me know what improvements you'd make in your garden. And yeah, we'll talk to you all later. All right, grow big or go home, everyone.